Maybe this is the World War III that everybody's been talking about. Just had to step out real quick. But, oh, look who I bumped into. "2020 vision."
The journey of knowing thyself begins in the cradle and ends in the grave. One way to capture those moments of ourself can be found in the shelf. Shelves have been around since the creation of ancient scrolls. My name is Dr. Walter Hidalgo, and I'm a father, teacher, world traveler, and coach. Join me as we explore together the stories of our shelves. This is Know Thyself.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Peace, peace, beautiful family. This is Dr. Walter, and once again, I am humbled and grateful to be here. This is the Know Thyself podcast, and this is episode numero 14, aka number 14. I'm very humbled and grateful to be here as we continue to unfold the Aries season. Yo, shout out to all my spring babies that are flourishing right now. You know, I feel super energetic around this time, folks. It just does something to my soul. Mother Nature has a way to talk to us whenever she resurrects and brings back to life all the beauty and wonder that makes her so amazing. I want to give a shout out to all of y'all. I've received so much love since we decided to put this back into motion, and I'm so grateful for everyone who has commented and shared and discussed all the things that came up in episode 13. Once again, this is the Know Thyself podcast, and essentially what we do is provide you with tangible things that you can utilize at home right now, because we are all experiencing this pandemic, quote unquote pandemic. You're only experiencing pandemonia if it starts in your mind. Don't let the news or the media, multi-ethnic destruction in America, switch the gears on you. We understand that right now we are living in the coronavirus era. This is the time, but don't let that be your reality. So with that being said, I want to give a big shout out to everyone listening, everyone who continues to support the Know Thyself podcast, and I also would like to shout out all the people who has sponsored us and supported us throughout this movement. For those of you who are not seeing, I'm definitely showing this shirt right here, or leg right here. It's definitely a good little spring look right now. Shout out to the 2020 collections, my brother Steve. You can definitely find his clothing line and many others like his in Privilege NYC. Shout out to my brother AO, Adriola Ortiz, for blessing me and us. And definitely I want to give a big shout out to Young Boss Media. That's the platform that we utilize to disseminate the Know Thyself. And what is Know Thyself? Know Thyself is a podcast, a platform where we use the metaphor of the shelf to extrapolate the self. With that being said, let's continue with the flow, the motion. Family, right now we want to discuss the first thing that we want to showcase coming out of our shelf, seeing that we're all at home, we're quarantined, y'all looking for something to do. I want to pull this out of my shelf right here today. And I don't want to do it just, as a sound bite, as to float my own boat. But, the reality is it's funny because we're definitely living in this time now. So what I'm pulling out of my shelf today is my book. For those who can't see in the visual world, just listening audio-wise, my book, Beyond the Four Walls, The Rising Ministry and Spirituality of Hip-Hop, is definitely something that I have in my own shelf. I would like to invite you to have it in your shelf because it definitely speaks to what's happening right now. I think what we are seeing is the same thing that was happening when the early churches were starting to be formed. We're starting to see the underground church again. In 2012, I experienced a lot of conversations and research around the dying church. A lot of people left the church. A lot of people left faith, period. I don't care what that is for you. But the reality is, a lot of people are redefining the church and considering the circumstances that we're in right now. The church, the places of faith are looking very different for a lot of people, including myself. When I accompanied people on an immersion trip in New York City where we talked about global poverty, a professor at Lehman College said there were two things that saved the Bronx when it was burning. Like when it was burning during the Roman Empire, during Nero's time, when the Christians were first starting to grow. And that was community organizing and spirituality. What a lot of people don't know is one of the first people to invite the earlier churches, the first churches, which was basically people breaking bread and getting together in their homes, were affluent, aka rich women. Women started the first churches. Super facts. We're living in it right now. But what was dope was when it was happening in the Bronx, something beautiful happened. Because, as I said in episode 13, through chaos comes such beautiful, empowering things. Hip-hop came through that. It was in the early 80s when the message came out and the whole world started to see what was happening. And it created a ripple, a spiritual ripple effect. And what's happening right now is creating a ripple effect. Because the reality is that we're all home, we're all confined. But what's your book say? A lot of people talking about what kind of book would you read. Maybe this is the time for you to write your book and the story of your life. The second thing that I want to pull off from my own shelf, which I'm sure you can find in your own shelf, is something that it comes from the coach father side of me. So I want to pull this side of the shelf from you right now. And what this is the Uno card. It could be a Uno card, it could be a deck of cards, it doesn't matter. One of the things that I recommend for your body, because we just hit you with the mentals, with the body, is if you grab a deck of cards, get an open space, and shuffle the cards, and place the cards, throw them on the floor. If it comes out 2, do 2 push-ups. If it's 6, do 6 sit-ups. It's up to the person. I'm picking back from the tape, if you listen to the episode 13. It's another way to get y'all active, engaging with the family, and you can get super creative, super fun with it, and it doesn't matter what you're utilizing, okay? So that's an opportunity for our young folks or adults to do the deck of cards, utilize the deck of cards that comes from your shelf, and make it happen at the home as we continue to be quarantined. The third thing that I want to pull out from my shelf is, y'all see it right here. For those of you that aren't visualizing or visually see it, is the plant. Actually, this is a bamboo. And definitely I want to talk about the soul piece to this. The soul piece to this is, if whether you're a single person or a family person, if you have a plant in your house, look at that as what it could look like if you decide to get, for example, a pet, or you decide to have a child in the future. A plant is a living thing just like you and I. And it requires the same elements as you and I. Water, sun. And it's interesting because we're living in the time of awakening and spiritual revolution. So let me hit y'all something for your soul. It's Palm Sunday if you're Christian. And with Palm Sunday, Jesus actually was coming into Jerusalem, if you believe such a thing. And he had an element from earth that he was carrying. It was a palm. It was a tree. Right? And I find it interesting that he was carrying an element of earth with him. What's that telling us? What's the message that we're getting today that it's Palm Sunday, that someone who holds a big spiritual significance to the world is carrying an element of Mother Nature? Many Christians decided to place a plant or something to signify Palm Sunday to their windows, to signify the spiritual significance, but for me it's also symbolic. Talk to your plants. If you don't have plants right now, it's all good. You can probably get one super cheap right now because everybody's too busy hoarding. You know what I'm saying? Paper towels and other things. I talked about that on a previous episode, but truth be told, despite the coronavirus, utilize this time to boost up Mother Nature. Talk to Mother Nature. You don't even have to have plants. Why don't you take a walk or take a stroll or add the beauty of Mother Nature into this experience that is happening right now? I have a bamboo. You know what the beauty of the bamboo is, that it takes a long time to grow. It requires daily water, but it's one of the most robust plants on earth. People make cabins and houses out of it. It's really deep, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sometimes wonder, I've been hearing a lot of conversations about people saying such things as, since we've been quarantined, the de-escalation of petroleum and people and oil and gas, etc. I find it interesting. I took a long walk today and I realized that, the sky's looking kind of a little bit more prettier. The air is feeling a lot more nicer than usual. A lot of people have been talking about how maybe the shelf is telling us to care for Mother Earth a little bit more. With that being said, family, I want to close out with a quote. Wrap up episode 14. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to New York. Shout out to the Bronx, the world. The quote that I want to read off and wrap us up with is this: Earth provides enough to satisfy every human being's needs, but not every human being's greed. Gandhi. Peace, family.